Yo, yo, yo. What's up, good people? We're back again, the boys from the Phantom Geek Zone. I'm Izzy.
I'm Riyaal.
This time around, we're going to be talking about Thor the Dark World, aka Thor 2, if you will.
Yeah.
And yeah, this
Part of
is
our MCU
part of our
recap.
MCU recap series. Shout
yeah.
out for keeping me honest and on point, And yeah, I always just get eager to, dive right in. And this time around, this is the second sequel that Marvel made. Remember now,
Yes. Got you.
You got to keep up with our order, right? The reviews are coming out in terms of, sequential order, of events. But now they will reference the order in which,
the movies were released,
released, produced, all of that stuff. I mentioned the sequel thing because, and look, we've got, let's say, shall we call it, the gift or curse of knowledge of what happens, later down the line, the Marvel movie series. But just as far as, where we're at now, I want to highlight that Marvel clearly had a bit of some trouble with crafting a proper sequel in light of this in Iron Man 2. We've, of course, did our whole breakdown of Iron Man 2. Our review is live. If you haven't seen it yet, pause this one, go there, and then, pop back afterwards in order to understand the full context. And then now we've got Thor the Dark World. Before getting into it, maybe in order to avoid jumping the gun, let me just start by asking a very basic and simple question. Did you like this movie?
No.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't say I hated it, but I wouldn't say I liked it.
Yeah, it was pretty mid.
It's a mid movie. I'd watch it. I'd watch it again if I had nothing better to watch.
So for me, I don't even think I've watched this movie since the first time I saw it. That's how much I hated it.
This is becoming a recurring theme in all our reviews.
That's what I'm realizing as well. That this plan to try and do things in order of release has the unfortunate caveat of a lot of the bad movies being clustered together. So it's like
and they're all there back at the
exactly. So it's like we're repunishing ourselves, so to speak.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, man, I think Marvel had a bit of trouble as far as the sequels. And my little theory around that is, okay, let's also be well aware that as far as the movies are concerned, Thor is not Iron Man. Iron Man was, of course, something else. But Thor, the first one, wasn't that bad of a movie. It was chill. It was
a nice intro movie.
Like,
you're building up the power scales and whatnot.
And obviously in both cases, maybe not fully, because with Thor, they went with, a classic Thor villain. Iron Man, not necessarily a classic villain, but it was a great villain in the movie. The point being, it's almost as though because they've got all the tools at their disposal, they're able to cherry pick the best elements of the lore and make that into the first movie. And then from there's that where to from now sort of thing that comes into play. And interestingly enough, Jon Favreau did direct Iron Man 1 and 2, but he had studio trouble with Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
Hence him not directing any further MCU movies. In this particular case, there was also some trouble, I believe. There was pre-production trouble, dog.
Oh.
For the first Thor movie, that is. They changed directors 2, if not 3 times.
Well, then good on them for making a halfway decent movie.
Yeah. In light of that, not too bad, I suppose.
Yeah.
With this one, I don't recall the behind-the-scenes stories, or I don't recall seeing or reading about any. That being said, I don't believe it was the same director as the first one.
Okay.
So my point is, aside the whole where do we go from now, it's as though in terms of the creative team, for whatever reason, we'll chalk it up to creative differences. There hasn't been that establishment of, all right, we've done a great team job, let's go do it again. There's a whole lot of things that come into play, and then you end up with either new people or the same people under new rules, and you end up with, subpar movies as a result. So I suppose this would be a redundant question to ask, is it, a worthy sequel? But you've already said that, look, it's kind of just okay. I suppose then the only natural place to go is, what were the issues that you had with the movie?
The villain.
Yeah.
Malekith, the Dark Elves.
Man.
the motivation wasn't well. I always talk about the motivation.
Yeah.
I don't know what the motivation was. Just getting my stone back.
Dude.
And then obviously none of the Dark Elves had any character.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that is, they didn't give them any character. You know, they were just a plot device.
Villains by the numbers,
Yeah.
if you will.
Pretty much, yeah. It was just like they were a plot device for the movie. So
Yeah.
I think that was my one big gripe there. Two, I would say Jane Foster felt more like a damsel in distress in this movie,
Yep.
and in the first movie she's like a part of the movie.
Yeah.
So I think it was the same cast basically, the super on the protagonist side.
Yeah.
But it felt a little bit detracted.
Yeah. It's like it took a step back in so many
yeah
weird
for
ways.
the smaller character, what we consider smaller characters. This Selvigs, the Darcy's and Jane Foster's. Jane Foster's and I guess what I'd also say is it was all too convenient. I get she was looking for Thor, but she just happens to
find the portal number one, number two, the ether, and then
that was very convenient.
Yeah.
And then they don't they told us the Bifrost is destroyed in the first one. You can never see her again. And then she goes missing, and then all of a sudden he's on Earth.
Just traveling willy-nilly.
Yeah, hey, it's you know. So just the continuity from the first movie just was there, but wasn't there at the same time. So I don't know about that.
Yep.
And I guess there was something else I wanted to mention.
Yeah.
The mom's death.
Okay.
How she died, the vigil was great. You know, that was really nice.
Shout out. Yep.
But the aftermath, there was only one person it affected, and that wasn't even her son. As Odin would say.
Yeah.
And you know, the only person who it actually mattered to, it seemed was Loki.
Yeah.
Thor was just carrying on
business
with life,
as usual.
You know?
Yeah.
So I felt and we've chatted about this about other movies in the series of Thor. There's so much death, but they don't portray it. They don't portray how much that death means.
The impact.
Is the impact of it. Yeah, it's just by the by. So I think that was again, yes, okay, you've got to buy the numbers villain. Fine. Then make the story about Thor. It's his movie. You know,
man.
You know, it's so easy.
Yeah.
Well, I say it's easy, but you know, the idea is easy. Implementing the idea.
Yeah, from these seats, you know, it's nice and easy. But
it's like I want to be a restaurant. I want to be a restaurant reviewer. I just go trash all these places and eat lovely food. Anyway, sidetracking there. So make the story about Thor because he obviously doesn't want to be the king.
Yeah.
He wants to be with Jane. And his mom just died.
Yeah.
Arguably the person he's closest to.
Yeah.
3 big motivations there. And then feed into the by the numbers villain can feed into each one.
Yeah.
And I guess with Jane Foster, it does, with the ether being the reality infinity stone. It does kind of, but not enough.
Yep.
With the mom, yes, the Dark Elves kills his mom. But it's just more you know, the aftermath of it and also just the vengeance side of things. You would have liked to see more vengeance.
Yeah.
If that, so that's kind of my takeaways there.
Yeah, man. I think for me, my issues, again, the villain was, man, this homie couldn't be moped up if he was made of maize meal. You know, but aside from that, it feels like there were two directions. You actually introduced a third one, which was pretty dope. There were 2 paths that they could have followed as far as where to take the story, you know? Either have a proper great villain, or for me, technically speaking, right, and I'll explain why. I don't, as far as a concept, I don't mind Jane being a damsel in distress.
Okay.
What I mind is how they half-assed the damsel in distress.
Okay.
So, back to the 2 paths. Give us a true, proper, strong villain. And it's so funny, right? We say this all the time, and I'm glad this is one of the movies that contextualizes this point. This one was about 2 hours.
Yeah.
We did a 3 hour movie review. We didn't do a 3 hour review. We reviewed a 3 hour movie, is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
If we did a 3-hour review, please slap us.
Yeah. that being Batman, Batman v Superman. And the consensus about the runtime, while, you could have tweaked a few things, it was worth it at the end of the day. This was 2 hours, and I kept checking, how much time is it? How much time is it? And that's what we talk about when we say pacing. No matter how long your movie is, make every moment count. There was that whole little flashback scene in the beginning. Oh yeah, when we were fighting Malekith and his people, and here's how the ether got here, blah blah blah. We don't need that.
I didn't mind that because it was contextualizing the
For
story.
me, they didn't. Given what comes afterwards, it felt unnecessary. I'm like, okay, you got this reality thing, whatever. Remember, for instance, Captain America, they also dealt with the reality stone, right? I think, wasn't
No,
it?
Tesseract, wasn't it?
No, sorry, I meant Infinity Stone.
yeah.
Yeah. Did some guy like touch it in the beginning and then something happened and then you get a sense, there's a lot of power behind. So that's my thing. We don't need to show the villain, and it just something else could have portrayed the fact that we saw that this guy wants this thing. That's all we saw there. But something else in terms of
Why he wants
the consequences, whether it's why or the consequences of this thing, just how powerful an entity it is. That's one of the two things you could have done, right? If you gave us a powerful villain, then that scene would have been a lot better. And then, of course, make us fear him and be like, oh shit, every time he comes through, like, we need to feel some type of way. Not just because we know he's a bad guy. No, it takes a little more than that. They didn't do that in that scene. Same thing for the ether, right? Okay, it's powerful. These guys wanted to defend at all costs. But now, from then, the alternative route they could have taken, if they want to keep this guy as villain as he was, the ether itself should have been, let's say, more poisonous to Jane, for lack of a better
it makes
phrasing.
sense. As you say, curse of knowledge. Knowing
because they kind of did that
stones,
later on. That could have worked here, right? And here's why. You got your first movie, right? You got Thor 1. This guy's a hero, dope, whatever. And then you get Avengers. Oh man, he really is that guy. Now break him down because you've seen how great and amazing he is. This was a great opportunity to do that, right? If Jane was proper poisoned by the ether, show the breakdown of Thor losing his mind, going on a rampage. Find a cure, find those guys, something, The mother, as I said, you mentioned a good point in there. If they had shown us, trying to find the proper words for this, he was supposed to witness her death in frame in some other way. Because she died, and then he just comes running in with his hammer, and we're like, how? When did you get here? And so first show him getting in, and that's just that little element of just too late. Whether it's throwing the hammer or something, and then they still manage to just impale her. That could have added to the impact. Especially given the immediately following scene where he tried to fly, but then they got away. But again, after that, he's broken down. He's losing his mind. He doesn't want to listen to anyone. And we know Thor is stubborn. That's how we started this whole thing. Now that re-triggers that, and then you go on your rampage. That, I think, as far as motivation, could have been a little greater. And as you show Jane getting, worse and worse as the movie progresses,
show him,
losing his mind even more. And then some way, of course, you got to bring him back, save the day, that type of thing. So make us invested, because I don't know if they've done enough to make us buy into their love story, but
maybe in the first movie, but in this one, there wasn't really
I meant more historically, to speak to the notion of just making us feel for her. So we saw them together, but I feel like there could have been a little more done to establish their relationship and make us fall in love with their relationship. Then in this one, as she's deteriorating and he's losing his mind, you're like, oh man, we're emotionally vested now. That's where I feel they should have taken this,
because Marvel haven't done a proper love story, have they?
Man, they it's one of the things that there's certain elements, I don't know why, man.
These guys will the closest thing maybe was Tony and Pepper.
And
At the
even
beginning.
that,
At the beginning.
exactly. Even that,
Like,
as time went on, got a little more and more watch. They like to literally have people flirt and then they just move on. They never really establish something fully and see it all the way through for whatever reason. They forever
Here is the
prioritize
rom-com MCU.
other things, and which then speaks to the whole cookie cutter
Yeah.
process that they tend to follow. So I think just that as a baseline, oh my goodness, and then you've got Loki in here who's locked up, but then he's the only one who can go and help you. Even that scene could have been more dynamic between them because of course he was trying to toy around with him. Loki, this is not the time for your jokes, brother, and like it would have added so much raw emotion to every subsequent scene. So it's not even a matter of changing much. Just tweak a few things in terms of what you were trying to establish. I think that could have, elevated this movie to a whole other level. And as you said again, the impact of the loss of the mom, they could have done a lot more with that.
A lot more.
And shout out for mentioning that vigil for the mom, because when I saw it, not to sound dark and sinister, hear me out, please. I was excited by that scene because it added to the world building of Asgard, which again is another element for them that they could have explored in this one. Hey, it could have been an Asgard-contained story. Why go back to Earth?
Asgard is such an integral part of Thor. Yeah.
It's rich as far as the history itself. It's got a lot of culture, and Thor is always leaving Asgard to do missions. He went to Earth, to reclaim his worthiness. He went to Earth to bring Loki back.
They could have established more of the universe.
This could have been the time to keep him at home. And, not to mention just the notion of someone infiltrating their home could have been...
That's supposed to be the
most
the
locked up and protected and, Heimdall and all of that. Yes, there was a bit of that in the first Thor, but it wasn't the center of it. You could have made it the center here. So that's what annoys me about these movies, right? There are certain times, as I said, where you'll hate something and it's like, man, what were you even thinking? But with this one, it feels more like it was right there. Like, just look. You don't need to go too far, to see the nuggets that you could have used to take this to a whole other level. I don't know. Then in terms of the other characters in here, what do we think? Odin and Loki in particular.
The characters are pretty much the same from the first movie.
Yeah.
Got pretty much the same thoughts, if that makes sense. Loki, Tom Hiddleston, again, probably less of a role. Portrayal is still good.
Yeah. For what it's worth, I will say I like the redemption arc that they gave him.
Yeah.
A lot of times, they'll do that willy-nilly, wishy-washy, but in this aspect, I think it worked because it immediately follows his trying to take over the world in New York, and now we imprison you, but we unfortunately need you because this thing is under lockdown and you're the one with the keys. Yeah. So it was organic in that sense.
Yeah,
as well.
Fair enough. That was pretty cool. And it wasn't like him becoming a better person. They needed him.
They needed him.
Because further on in the movie, he dies.
And remember, even the part where he's like, he's not my father or whatever. And then, or was it the mom herself who's like, then am I not your mom? Yeah. But then basically Thor try to drive that message home to him that, hey man, mom was affected. And so that's why I'm like, his redemption arc I like because it was authentic. And in as much as the death was a fake out.
It was a fake out, but like it was a redemption arc without being a redemption arc, if that makes sense.
And also, I like that they didn't know he faked his death. So from their perspective, it was real.
Yeah.
So it was their way of going there with it, which is what I always,
Thor could have had more of a breakdown.
Exactly.
But no.
That could have been like his breaking point where he then somehow comes back again. Like, no man, this is now too much. I need to go in this thing because how many more people am I going to lose if I don't get my shit together? So I think, yeah, man, to say the ball was dropped is, insufficient. And as you say, the side characters, dude, I mean, the Asgard, the doctor. What was the whole thing with like losing his mind now? Because Loki, bewitched him or whatever the hell. But they were fine by the end, and then Hawkeye was also fine, but then he's not fine, and there's no explanation, the breakdown of it. It's like, what are we doing,
to
man?
become a senile man. Like,
man. Oh, I'm in my underwear now. Oh,
I'm naked at Stonehenge.
Guys, even if he wasn't in the movie, what is it that he also did actually to influence anything here? I feel like now you're just trying to bring the band together for the sake of bringing the band together.
So wasn't he...
I suppose
more to do with he was predicting what was supposed to happen.
And where to place the portal keys. If anything, why not just bring him in just then? Because before you making a mockery of this dude, and that's another thing I don't like about Marvel. And while we're at this
You have
stage,
to have your comic relief characters.
but now they also do it at the expense of once great characters.
Yeah.
And given how early on we are in this, be prepared to hear
And
me
what's his
moan
name?
and complain about this a lot
And
because
Stellan Skarsgård is, I think it's Stellan, yeah, the dad.
Yeah.
The Skarsgård's the dad. That's him. The doctor, Dr. Selvig.
what do you mean he's a dad?
No, the Skarsgård, Bo, and
Yeah. The
Yeah.
other actors, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's such a great actor. Like if you've watched the first, I don't know if you watched Dune, but if you've watched the
No,
first
no, no.
Dune, he's the Baron. And
But my thing is, even in the first
such a
Thor,
great
like you don't need to
actor,
go
yeah.
that far. The first
Yeah.
Thor, he played that character so well, like good old fatherly figure, smart dude, and whatnot, stepping in, helping out,
senile
like
old man with no pants.
for
Like,
no
why?
good reason.
Why?
That's the part that annoyed me, And then of course you're gonna get there's a Darcy,
Yeah.
Kat Dennings' character. Yeah, but I mean she does her, so
Yeah, she's
yeah,
still the
it
same.
is. It is what it is. The funny enough, I didn't hate the notion of Jane having like it wasn't a boyfriend, of course, but
I
just
love the love interest.
trying
Yeah.
your luck. Because again, it's like
Chris-
you're dating the spaceman, and
Chris
he,
O'Dowd though, he's class.
he would literally make you wait years before coming through. No phone call, no whatever. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, man, try and move on your life. I like that aspect of it. Maybe could have been punched up a little more, but even with what it was, I understand that whole dynamic
Yeah,
there. But
trying to move on.
yeah, I think because the overall story was lackluster, then even the other
Mm.
okay stories seem relatively worse than that, man. There was so much more you could have done. In fact, on the villain element, what I thought of is if now the 9 realms are converging and the portals basically are opening up, why not have everyone
Oh,
else come
ice
through and try to
giants,
function?
yeah.
Yeah, dog, because people have beef out there against Odin. His house is technically, under attack because he's getting old. He doesn't have a new king. And it's like, this is our opportunity to exploit the vulnerability. Perhaps even the whole thing of he's now mourning. Let's go. Like, guys, there is so much
Yeah.
more. But instead now we're going to have a can of Coke travel dimensions. Like, ooh.
Oh, the phone rings in another dimension. That's how I'm getting back
Oh, I
home.
got signal. Like, man.
Just too convenient. Like,
Yeah, it was pretty annoying, man. And for some silly reason, because there's that whole thing of every subsequent movie having a modified version of the suit in some other fashion. They start him off old school, and then he switches to Avengers later on, and I'm like, it seems so weird and arbitrary. Just start off with the latest one if you don't want to create a whole new one. And they didn't even apply a practical element behind it. Not that there is one. It's not like, oh, Thor is now cold. Yeah. So again, nitpicky, but yeah. And I think his merry band of bandits, man, Lady Sif and the Warriors
Lady
3,
Sif, yeah.
they could have done a lot more with them, especially
Such
given
good
how
actors-
much
they're such
fighting.
good actors as well.
I mean, Ray Stevenson, R.I.P. man.
Zachary
Levi was
Chuck.
that is the English dude with the mustache or
and
whatever.
then
in
Jamie
this.
Alexander as well. She's
Yeah,
great as well.
a solid cast that was brought in just for the sake of having
Yeah.
them there, and that's my issue across the board with the supporting characters. Even the mother, right? I mean, Odin had a shine in the first one. Make
Mom
the
didn't.
mom
Mom had-
shine
she-
before killing her, just to make it hit us as well, not just the characters in the story. They tried, but yeah,
They did give her a bit. They did, but
she was supposed to just drive this whole thing until her untimely death, and then even we would have been just as we're getting to know her, sort of thing.
yeah, because she didn't have any in the previous
Never in any of the previous ones, So yeah, man. And here's the thing that we maybe are not emphasizing enough, which only serves to add insult to injury. This is not just a Thor sequel. It's a post-Avengers movie. And Avengers, man, set the bar in terms of, just climbing up and up and up. And then following that, you're just gonna be like, here's where we end. It's like, no.
Was this the first one after?
I know Iron Man was not closely tied to it, but this is a post-Avengers movie. I'll say that, yeah. Because Iron Man 3 dealt directly with the whole
aftermath,
PTSD and whatever, yeah. But in this one, she was like, and you were in New York, I saw you. And so it is a post-Avengers movie. So again, if for no other reason, just for that post-Avengers thing, that's what needed to let them know to just beef up the quality across the board, which I feel they failed to
Or
do.
give us a MCU nightmare scene as well. That, because you've got the ether there, you've got an Infinity Stone.
It's just that they definitely don't have the guts to go that dark.
Yeah.
So for
No, but
me,
you don't have to go that dark. But what I mean is like, show us the big bad a little bit more, or
I don't disagree that it would
Yeah.
have been great. I'm just saying Marvel being Marvel,
Mm.
yeah, it certainly would have been a great opportunity. Because again, okay, at this stage we haven't really seen that many, but every other time we've seen an Infinity Stone, it's done something. You saw what Loki did with the mind controls and all of that, and then even in Captain America,
Yeah,
same
it's like
stone
yeah, you're actually right, because this
powering
one
all
it
the
was just
weapons, and
possessing
this one
Jane,
was space
and
COVID.
then
This one was space COVID. That is it. Like Jane was just there, and we're talking like new COVID, not even early days COVID. She was there, like, oh, is this whatever, whatever? Yeah. Oh wow, it's so cool. I'm like, you are infected with dark matter, and you just out here
yeah,
chatting your way through
you
the
just like
day,
blew
and
people up, like
man, yeah. So to say the drop the ball is hella redundant at this stage, but I think it's just yeah, us painting the picture
um,
of how that came about.
any highlights,
I wasn't going to necessarily say highlight. I was more just going to ask generally what you
positives.
thought of the Chris Evans cameo.
That was a good fun.
It was fun, but my thing is that, as they say, you could try and polish a turd, it's still a turd.
Yeah.
So it made it hard for me to enjoy it. I do recall enjoying it the first time I saw it,
Yeah.
particularly because I think it was, I mean, even if you think about all the other movies,
I haven't been cameo.
yeah, you don't really get main star cameos. So this is like one of
But
the first, not the
he's also
first.
kind of a cameo king, just in Hollywood.
Later on, yes,
in
but
Hollywood
this is
though, in general.
oh yeah, there is that. But I think just that Captain America thing, because again, remember this is still relatively early days of this cinematic
Yeah.
universe thing. So when someone
We're
pops in
all
here,
very new
it's
to
like
it, yeah.
oh, so yeah,
I completely forgot about it. So to see it, I was pleasantly surprised.
yeah. I
And-
forgot until the moment that I was like,
and
oh yes, I
I'm
remember.
happy it was just like in passing type of thing. It
Yeah,
wasn't
just
like
a little quick, and then
Yeah,
you
we're done.
Yeah, you move on because
think that
again,
was
it's still
okay.
meant to be a Thor movie.
Mm.
Yeah, that was the other thing I suppose I enjoyed about it. Handle, yeah, man, there wasn't really much that they gave him
they
to
didn't
do
give
this
him
time
much
around.
this time as well.
But at the same time, do we expect that? Because remember, he's simply the Guardian. I think they did just enough in terms of showing him in action. Remember, there was that he was there on his post, and then he just goes out chopping. Like, what's happening? And then he stabs. Oh, like, oh damn! You saw that. I think was kind of
pretty
cool.
cool, yeah.
And it was nice to just do a little hint, and then afterwards resume your duties. Not on some now. All of a sudden, everyone is like a mighty warrior type thing. Like, nah, he can kick some ass.
But I guess it also shows the power of the ether because he couldn't see Jane as well. Yeah.
But again, just do a little more, man, to drive the impact of whatever these things are that you're talking about. So I don't know whether it's a highlight, a low light, or a question or comment. Is there anything else? Because for me, I feel like that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
I think that another nice thing I would say is the reveal of Loki at the end. Yeah, that was pretty cool because because we also didn't know the guy was Loki. So we also at that point in the movie also knew that Loki was dead.
Yeah. So funny enough, for me, the first time I saw it, I believe okay, Loki's dead, and then at the end I was surprised when I saw him. But then when watching it for this review, when they showed the god, I don't know, it just felt like maybe because I was half expecting it. But yeah, I kind of realized that this is the way they revealed him. Because I don't remember the exact scene now, but if I'm correct, there's something like there was a portal and then they showed the god. So that for me said, oh, someone just came in. Most likely Loki. But I still recall that very first time where, okay, homie's walking by, and then there's the whole thing about Ishna, I don't want the throne, this, that, whatever. And it's like, okay, cool. And then homie just goes, sits down, and then you're like, wait, that's... Yeah. That was a pretty cool
reveal was
ending.
really, really cool. And it kind of fits into the character because didn't Thor say himself, I don't want it, my brother, is more suited to that. And what is he? He
ends up getting it, Despite what comes after this, we'll just take it in terms of what we know now, not future knowledge and all of that. Yeah, I think that was a pretty cool twist. Yeah. I will certainly give them that.
Reveal and anything else on your side?
Nah.
Anything else you want to critique?
Again, for me, it wasn't a matter of a lot of things haven't gone wrong. It was just more the few key things
Yeah.
haven't gone wrong, which I had an issue with. So
Yeah, it's like
that pretty much
it's
covers
kind
it
of a
from my
movie that
side.
had all the potential in the world,
All the potential dog. I
but just
mean,
didn't.
even on some post Avengers, not just sequentially, but as far as now you've got connections, contacts, that sort of thing. Nothing was utilized in order to elevate this movie. It felt more like a rush thing that let's just give him a sequel and then try and move past it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if there's nothing else, then I think that pretty much brings us to our rating
Yeah.
for this. What would you give it?
Let's see. I don't know. Maybe a 4.5.
I was gonna go with 4 because
Yeah, I don't know if I'm being too harsh.
it was
or not, but,
it was offensively bad.
Yeah.
Given everything we've explained. So for me, I'm like, nah, you guys just deserve a proper 4. It's not even any question or doubt.
You'll pass in South Africa.
That's that's where I'm gonna leave it at.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
4.5. If you got nothing better to do on a Saturday,
Yeah,
give it a watch.
spin. But
But
I would
I
say
wouldn't
rewatch the others.
Yeah, watch something
The
else.
previous ones. Yeah. Okay, so then I don't even think we need to. Yeah, this is obviously not gonna make the top 5 in any sense. So yeah, we'll just leave it then as what 4.5. I guess 4.25 average if you will. And that then brings us to the end of this particular review. Once again, shout out for sticking around. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Follow us on Instagram on
The
Phantom Geek Zone. Yeah, man. Until next time, keep your eye, on our channels. We'll of course keep posting and keeping everyone up to date in terms of when the next reviews are dropping and what it will be. But yeah, we'll catch y'all then. Peace.
Peace.